Hades can be a difficult game, especially when you're not familiar with what the shades your opponents are up to. There's always that one weapon that's excellent for beginners, and I think the spear fits that bill fairly well now. Not that you would need much guidance on the combat merits of having a long sharp stick close at hand, I will nevertheless cover my opinions about the viability of aspects, their general playstyles, and synergistic boons. I will also add time-lapse runs to aspects that might be a bit more difficult to explain while narrating my thought process through them. Chances are, spear won't be one of the first weapons you will unlock, but it ends up being a better starting weapon than the blade is. The spear has excellent reach on all of its attacks, making it easier to put space between dangerous opponents and yourself. It doesn't give up any damage to get that range, so its damage isn't actually bad. It ends up looking bad because if you want to keep your distance, you're obviously not getting backstabs anymore, which is one of the primary increases to damage you would get with melee weapons. Eternal Spear's aspects increase that damage by different methods, and as long as you can keep their buffs up, you should be fine. If you enjoy an easy-to-use weapon that is safer than most other options, then you might want to take a look at the spear. The basic attack is a string of multiple stabs that has excellent range and good damage, dealing 25, 30 and 30 damage each in turn. The attacks have immense range, but don't really splash to either of the sides. The last attack recovers very quickly, thus restarting the sequence flawlessly. The spear damage is actually pretty high as long as you can commit to standing still. The dash attack is a quick swing with very good coverage. This is one of the best attacks in the whole game, except for its paltry 20 damage. The special is a spear throw with a guaranteed backstab on the way back. This again hits in a straight line. This is not necessarily the best attack in any way, shape or form, but you will end up using it to reach evasive opponents, and it does apply the stronger special god boon effects. Does it fast, does it twice. The spear special also has what are likely the most effective Daedalus Hammer upgrades in the game. You can also hold the attack button to charge up a heavy-hitting AoE slash. It has two charge levels. The first one hits the immediate area around you, and the second has an extensive hitbox. This attack has an immense amount of range, but is easily interrupted if you're not careful. You can initiate the attack by pressing the dodge button instead of letting the attack button go. This allows for a quick dashing gap closer before unleashing the strike. Non-legendary spear aspects are about achieving higher damage, albeit with notable differences in methods. The legendary aspect is a mixed bag with some very pronounced strengths, but with equally debilitating drawbacks. The default aspect grants increased power to the spear throw, the special attack. The spear throw is a low-risk, longer-range alternative to your main attack, which already is a risk-free, far-reaching attack. Backstabs are hardly the most important part of playing the spear, but spear throw has a guaranteed backstab on its way back. This is insignificant and serves very little purpose other than adding on some extra damage most of the time, as hardly any boons actually interact with backstabs. However, the range and speed increase means you now have the best ranged weapon in the game under your command. I would argue this one is among the weakest aspects of the game right now, due to the combination of low damage of the spear special and lackluster upgrades this one offers over the other options. This means you will depend on special effects like Jolted, Doom or Rupture to deliver most of your damage. Or you can just get really lucky and get one of many impactful Daedalus Hammers available to spear, turning it into the best ranged weapon in the game in an instant. The reason why even such an underwhelming aspect is absolutely playable is because Spear is an excellent weapon with multiple answers to common challenges the game likes throwing at you. Your basic attacks have huge range and disable enemy projectiles on hit. Your dash attack is excellent for kiting, and the hold attack AoE isn't particularly great, but will work in a pinch as long as you can space it right. The Zagreus Aspect works well in any situation and with most of the boons. I think my favorite is the Zeus special. Not only does it work with every hammer upgrade, it also solves the AoE problem, and also since I usually get Poseidon on my main attack, it paves the way for their game-breakingly strong duo boons. Here's an example run where, honestly, I had extreme luck. 65% from chaos already, so pretty good start, just destroying everything. I got the Daedalus Hammer for exploding specials already, so this makes it a little bit easier. I'm just face rolling now, I don't even need to look at the screen anymore. I'm just going around one-shotting everything. Let's take a look at Act 2. So yeah, it is taking a bit longer now. I kinda have to dodge, but what is that? More special damage. Alright, I guess. So, back to one-shotting. I don't need to look at the screen anymore. Again. Yeah, pretty cool. So with that, Act 3 awaits. I'm not entirely certain I can be stopped now, but there are a lot of armored opponents in this act. So... Thank you, that's exactly what I needed. Make no mistake, it's extremely fun, but it's no longer a challenge at this point. I'm almost certain that I would be able to finish this run with a much higher heat than what I have right now. And up we go. So I'm specifically showing this room because I think this is the hardest room in the Act 4. And I don't even think I took damage here. That about does it. The Achilles Aspect offers an excellent damage boost, but is a bit clunkier in execution. Get to keep your excellent basic attacks, but your special throw is modified. It now has 10% less range and becomes charged. The more charged it is, the further it goes. This is presumably so that you can better manage your distance, as you can call the spear to yourself as normal or charge at the spear, becoming invulnerable while doing so. If you opt to do this, you get increased damage on your attack and cast damage for a limited number of attacks. This effect also leaves you conveniently behind your opponent, in an excellent place to backstab for great damage. Once you get used to utilizing the spear charge as an extra movement option, the Achilles spear becomes much better. Achilles Aspect is a bit more clunkier to use, but it's the only way of getting an increased cast damage on the spear, and the bonus is convincingly high, allowing for cast-based builds. The not getting shards back bit is a real issue here, so you either will go Aphrodite's, which is so close range that you can just grab the shard back, or ones like Dionysus and Demeter, where they don't lodge into your opponents anyways. Another great upgrade is the Daedalus Hammer upgrade that lets you hit up to 3 times, but reduces your dash distance. Achilles Aspect can just use the special dash for gap closing, and the dash attack coupled with Achilles damage boost should clear up the run fairly easily. Hades Aspect changes your charged up attack to be the Punishing Sweep, which has an immense area of effect, and also increases the damage its targets take from normal and special attacks by an extraordinary amount. The Hades aspect ends up a fair bit easier to use in comparison to the Achilles, mostly because it's significantly more intuitive to use. Unlike the Achilles aspect, it doesn't increase the cast damage but instead increases the special damage, which is largely inconsequential. Nevertheless, the Punishing Sweep is a very strong modification to Spear's kit, and some of the most impactful Daedalus Hammers in the game stand at ready to buff this aspect's efficacy even further. The improved charge time takes the Hades Spear from a very solid aspect to a borderline broken one, and the increased damage on sweep seals the deal. I think Poseidon's increased knockback effect goes really well with the huge AoE and huge amounts of damage the attack already has, usually shoving enemies into walls for extra damage. Combine this with Zeus' offerings to unlock their game-bendingly strong boon combos. The Hades aspect would be my choice for a default spear aspect for general use, due to it having an arsenal of excellent moves thanks to it buffing the least useful part of the spear, the hold attack, while maintaining the luxury of remaining a screen away from danger. The legendary aspect modifies the spear's hold moveset. Your basic attacks get a lot slower, hit harder, but the range stays about equal. The special, you no longer have to take back the spear, you just send it. You keep the spear dash attack, which is amongst the best animations spear has. The hold attack button is vastly modified. That one becomes a whirling projectile that grants healing to you for every hit scored. The area of effect and range isn't stellar, but you can charge it fully to improve them both. The legendary spear aspect will be the first one you will gain access to, but it's also the one with most drawbacks initially. As you can see, it greatly reduces your maximum health and life gained. Increasing its level somewhat alleviates its game-bending malices, but bosses will be a fair bit more difficult with reduced max health. This is a side grade to what Spear does. You get more damage, a persistent projectile area of effect attack that heals you on hit, and a high damage exploding special, but in return you give up 70% to 50% of your life and subsequent healing. The extra healing on demand can really help, but even stray hits from long-winded battles or boss fights become a lot more problematic. Having that much reduced health means you're getting a lot less value from damage reduction effects or centaur hearts, but you still need them, so pick your path carefully. Since the projectile hits multiple times, multiple hit application boons like those of Dionysus or Demeter become somewhat palatable once again, because you will be spamming that area attack non-stop. It is a great attack after all. The area control of Poseidon and his intractable synergy with Zeus as far as damage is concerned still is a great duo. But honestly, anything should work here, because the base weapon is very strong, as long as you can stay alive. The legendary aspect's own Daedalus upgrade is great, as it turns it into a ranged weapon in all but its name. The hold attack improvements afforded to the spear are also pretty valuable and moderately impactful. The primary issue with this aspect is the long-winded animations you have to go through to deal actual damage. The normal attack is somewhat committal, and the hold attack is uber committal. The special is fast, but ultimately deals no damage. This is not a real problem during the dungeon parts, where even if you get hit once or twice, it's no big deal as you can just heal the full afterwards. Versus bosses, however, the healing is scarce, and every hit ends up being a huge part of your HP pool. You should give this aspect a try if you want an absolutely overpowered weapon, and the game to be extremely punishing.